Namaste, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Happy Earth Day. I hope you guys are out there celebrating this beautiful planet of ours and loving your mother up, loving that Mother Earth. I am Ashley Turner. I'm a yoga and meditation instructor for over 18 years, and I'm a licensed psychotherapist. And I'm so happy to be here with you today. We're going to dive into, for yoga teachers, how to build your yoga business. 5 ways to think and act like a boss to build your yoga business. So for those of you that are just tuning in, please jump into the comments and tell me where you're from, who you are, a little bit about yourself. I really want to get to know you. Again, this is 5 ways to think and act like a boss to build your yoga business. So, hey, Allie. Yay, Allie is tuning in from Ontario. She is assisting me in my upcoming yoga Psyche Soul training here in Venice. So good to see you on here, honey. Okay, so I am really passionate. Any of you who have followed me for any length of time know that I'm super passionate about helping yoga teachers build their business. And the reason is very simple, because I believe that doing yoga and teaching yoga is some of the most valuable work that's being done on the planet. You are creating clear transformation for people. Yay, hi Tara, she's also in our online program, Yoga Psyche Soul. So you as a yoga teacher are creating transformation for people. You are changing lives. You are changing the trajectory of people's lives. You're helping them heal in body, mind, and spirit. This is so important. This is some of the most important work to really up-level consciousness. So, yay, I see everyone tuning in. Hi, Christy. Hi, Doug. Hi, Polly. Good to see you guys. Yay, Polly. Near Sydney. I'm going to be back there. My man's from Sydney, so I'll be going there about once or twice a year. Hey, Jenny from Orlando. Okay, so yoga teachers are doing some of the most powerful work on the planet, truly. This is helping to heal the planet. We're here on Earth Day. You are helping to change people's belief systems, help them create new habits in their body, in their breath, in their mind. And this is some of the most radical work being done right now. So you deserve to thrive. You deserve to make really good money. You deserve to have a thriving business. But what I've seen in the yoga industry is that many, many yoga teachers are not making the kind of money that they want to be making. And when I was teaching my training, Yoga Psyche Soul, last year, I saw that I asked the whole training, how many of you are making the kind of impact and income that you want as a yoga teacher? And not one single person raised their hand. They were satisfied with the amount of money that they're making. So, and the impact that they were having. So how many people you're reaching. So today I'm going to dive into this. I also have a free training, which we just launched today. It's a 3-part video training that you can get free, and it's called How to Build Your Yoga Business with Heart and Hustle. The first video just dropped today, and we're talking about the Instagram effect, how Instagram has changed the landscape of yoga and pretty much every other industry completely, and many, many other things. So jump onto that. I'm going to give you the link for that right here, and I will put it in the comments as well. And so this Facebook Live, I'm going to talk about 5 ways to think and act like a CEO, like a boss. So the first thing that I want you to consider, now this is something that I noticed in my own life. I noticed that when I started to, let me just get over here and give you this link. Hi Shane, I see you on here. Okay. There you go. Okay, so the link is in there for you guys as well. Let's make sure it posts. There we go. Okay. So this is something that I saw for myself. I saw that when I was, when I shifted my own mindset and when I really started to think of myself as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I started to show up completely differently in my career. And this is really important. Most of us as yoga teachers are artists, visionaries, healers, we have maybe a little bit more orientation to the right brain in certain ways. And what I've seen in the industry with my colleagues, with my students, with my friends, is that many people aren't fully taking ownership and showing up in their business as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, thinking of yourself first as an entrepreneur, as a CEO. So even just changing the way you talk about your career and about what you do and who you are, this really, it will have a massive impact on your mindset. So this really shifted for me when I went through the process of creating my corporation, and I completely separated my business and personal. I set up my corporation. It's actually Turner Inc. I set up a whole other. I separated the finances. I set up business accounts just for my yoga business. And in that time, which was maybe like 5 years ago, and I should have, to be honest, done it a lot longer ago. So I really encourage you all to do this early at the beginning of your business. So you start to get in the mindset of thinking of yourself as a company owner, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO. This creates a massive mindset shift. And you start to show up and you start to look at the landscape as a business owner. What would a CEO do? The way that a CEO thinks through a process is much different than the way that an artist or a visionary thinks through a process. So what this did for me, for example, was I started to look very much more objectively at the products and the offerings that I had. I wouldn't say yes to a project unless it was a fiscally responsible project. In other words, I wasn't just leading from my heart. I wasn't just leading from this sort of whimsical, intuitive, inspirational in the moment. I was checking in with myself as a business owner and how is this fitting into the larger strategy of my company and the larger strategy of my income, and is this a wise vertical in my business? What is this funneling into? Because if something doesn't have, if it's not leading you somewhere else, it's not a wise choice. It's a dead end. And you end up spinning your wheels, which I did for many, many years. I was spinning my wheels, just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, trying to see what worked and what made money, and then I go to the next project or the next retreat. So I want you all to start thinking like a CEO, and every offering leads into the next offering. So this is, again, one of the reasons why in my Yoga Psyche Soul training, the whole entire last module, the 6th module, it's a 300-hour training, or you can do it online. But the whole entire last module is business and leadership productivity training for yoga teachers. Okay, so those of you that are just joining us, jump into the comments, tell us where you're from, who you are. So happy to see. Hi, Polly, she's in our class. Okay, 5 ways to think and act like a boss and to build your yoga business. Number 2, the 80-20 rule. Now, this is another thing. I made a huge mistake for the first decade of my yoga teaching. The 80-20 rule, and I'm sure you've heard this 80-20 rule in other things in your life, like 80% of the work, 20% of the work brings 80% of your profits, right? Or 80-20 maybe in health and fitness, where you're really good on your diet 80% of the time, and 20% you give a little leeway. But the 80-20 rule that I'm referring to is spend, hi Katie, good to see you on here. Katie Brower, also a badass yoga teacher, amazing, out of San Diego. Check out all her programs. So the 80-20 rule is spending 80% of your time building your business and 20% of your time actually teaching. Because as a CEO, if you go back to number 1 and you're thinking like a boss, you're thinking like a CEO isn't the one that's out there as the forward-facing all the time. The CEO is behind the scenes, making sure that there are systems in place, everyone's doing their job, everything's running smoothly. They're looking at the larger picture and how they can improve the whole system. So in a lot of ways, this is calling on our yoga practice to be much more mindful in how we're spending our time, and and choosing things that are the most lucrative. So 80-20, and again, for many visionaries or artists or musicians, yoga teachers, we get into it because it's what we love. And we don't realize that to create a thriving business, we have to spend a lot of time working on and in the business. So setting up systems, getting your business model really tight, looking at things, so maybe returning emails or working on promotion and working on marketing, working on building content that's going to drive people to your end product. And you're probably spending about 20% of your time actually teaching yoga in front of people. Now, for me, I made this huge mistake for at least the first 10, 12 years of my career, which was I was spending 80% of my time driving around Los Angeles teaching classes. And that's not very good use of my time, because I was teaching 10, 12, 14 classes a week. And in the end of the day, I couldn't scale that business. So I got pretty clear on that and started to shift my whole model, where I would build in some privates, which are more lucrative, and then I would build in bigger programs, which you can scale. And then I went back to school to get my master's in psychology to build that in as another added value to my career. So just think about spending more time working in your business, working on your business, and about 20% of the time is actually going to be you in front of people teaching yoga. So if you look at your week, love for you to think about that when you schedule your week. In other words, one day of your week is teaching the yoga, and the 4 other days are building your business, are building your leads, generating new leads, people that are interested in your work, getting yourself out there. Okay, number 3, watch and emulate other industries. So this is very important advice that I got early on in my career, luckily, which is to look to other industries for inspiration and for what works. So to be honest with you, what I am, again, really passionate about is helping yoga teachers and studio owners build their businesses, be successful, because you're doing some of the most important work on the planet. But there's not a lot of great business models that I see in our industry. For when I was looking at people, it was coming up, in the 90s, early 2000s, and being a successful yoga teacher was to go tour around the country and then tour around the world. Maybe you get on a cover of Yoga Journal, maybe you get some yoga DVDs, and build that way. And so that's what I started doing. That's what my mentors were doing. And I started, again, running around the world and teaching all over the country. And then I realized a couple of years into it, that that's not actually the lifestyle that I wanted. I wanted to build a solid business model that was repeatable, that was scalable, that I could leverage my time and I could leverage my money. And so even if you're going to teach a weekend workshop that has 30, 40, 50 people in it, it's still limited to those 30, 40, 50 people, and you can't just repeat that again and again. It's not working on autopilot. In other words, you're still in the time for money model. You're still exchanging your personal time for the money that you're getting. You have to be there to show up and teach in order to get the money. So we want some of that, because there is no comparison for the experience of a live event. We know that. It's so transformative. Being live in the room with people is unparalleled. Doesn't compare online even. But there are other ways that you can also scale your business. So look to other industries. Look at how other people are leveraging. Also, look to, it's also something where, especially with social media and Instagram now, and I talk about this, I have a free live training. The link is right here. I still have that up on the screen. I guess I didn't realize that. Which is a 3-video live training for all the yoga teachers out there, how to build your yoga business with heart and hustle. The link is right there, and it's also in the comments. Okay, so one of the things that I cover in this free live training is called the Instagram effect. And I go into detail about how Instagram has changed the landscape of yoga, if you're a yoga teacher, what to do about it, how to navigate it wisely. And what I found is that in our industry, if you just are looking, if you're just following people that are in the yoga industry, or that you maybe you're inspired by, we can get very caught up in looking at what other people are doing. And as I heard Laura Roeder say, keep your eyes on your own paper. Keep your eyes on your side of the street. If we look to people in other industries, it's maybe easier to be inspired and let ourselves really follow sort of their lead and emulate some of their business models and their best practices into your world. So I look at interior designers. I look at people that I think are doing it really well. People like Emily Henderson. I follow her on Instagram and online, and I watch her newsletter. I watch the kind of content she puts out. I watch what kinds of things she posts. Or Jenna Kutcher, who's a photographer and doing it as well in the photography world. Or Hillary Rushford, who's doing it as a personal stylist. And so how these women are entrepreneurs and being successful, but they're in other industries. And I think they're doing it really well. So I emulate them and I watch them. So begin to follow people and seek out people who are really inspiring and rising stars in other industries. So keep your perspective fresh about what's happening in the world at large and how then you can apply it to your work in your industry, in yoga work. Okay, number 4, very important. It might be my favorite one of these tips, which is up-level your tribe. Up-level your kula. Kula means our community or our sangha, our community of like-minded truth seekers. In the yoga practice, we know it's very clearly laid out that our tribe influences us. As I think it was Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn said, look at the 5 people that you're closest to. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with, you talk to the most. They inevitably have the most influence on your subconscious mind. And if you look around to those 5 people, you could probably name at least 3 or 4 of them right off the bat. Maybe it's your husband, maybe it's your sister, maybe it's your best friend or your colleague. Where are they in all these different realms of life? Are they where you want to be, or are they even a little further? So in their health and wellness, in their spiritual practice, in their business practice, in their relationship to money and finance, in their relationships, what quality of relationships do they have, right? Who are the 5 people that you surround yourself? And every year, and I do this every year at the new year, I really think about, how do I want to up-level my tribe? Who else have I met that really inspires me, that I want to emulate, that I want to be a little bit more like? So again, when I was coming up in the yoga world, I was very clear to choose 1 or 2 mentors that really are further along, and they have a life and a lifestyle and a business that's something that I want to aim for. So I chose people like Brian Kest and Sean Korn, who were really successful in the yoga world. And then about 13 years ago, I was on a trip and I had a really profound moment, and I tell the story a lot in my training, especially in the module on business and leadership. And we had rented a house. I was having this birthday, and there was 5 girls there, 6 girls there. It was myself, my twin sister, my younger sister, my cousin. So those 3 people from my family, and then 3 friends from LA, more yoga friends. And my sisters are very, very successful. They both have master's degrees from Ivy League schools. They both worked in different industries. My one sister's been in finance her entire life and on Wall Street, and now started her own company about women and money and investing for women. And then my other sister was in law school, was a lawyer also in New York City, and then went to work in the White House, went to work in Obama's campaign, and then in the White House in the administration for 8 years, and finally in the White House. And now she's at WhatsApp. So they are very successful, and they've always been very driven and career-minded and super sharp. And then I had some of my friends there from the yoga world. And when I was on this trip, I could see this juxtaposition between my sisters and my friends. And I saw that my sisters were really slaying, like they were really killing it in their careers. And they were like on light speed. And I saw that my friends, my girlfriends from LA, were kind of much more lackadaisical and chill and not that motivated or ambitious in their careers. They were really amazing teachers, but they weren't really business owners. If you go back to the first tip I gave you, think like a CEO. Call yourself a CEO. Call yourself an entrepreneur. Call yourself a company owner. And I saw this difference, and I saw that my girlfriends had a much different mindset. And I kind of started to have this inner, I almost felt sick for a while on that trip. It was really such a sharp juxtaposition that I really got clear that I needed to up-level my tribe in LA. I needed to surround myself with people, with other women who were girl bosses, who were entrepreneurs, who were really going for it in their careers. And as much as I absolutely adored these girls, if I surrounded myself with them the majority of the time, my mindset was going to stay very limited, and it wasn't going to be sharp and clear and influenced to really expand in these ways and advance in these ways. And so when I got back, I made some very significant shifts in my friendships. And ever since then, I made shifts like I never do a lunch date in the middle of the week. You know, these kinds of girls were like, hey, let's go to lunch, let's go to yoga class in the middle of the day, do you want to meet for a hike, like during the week? And for me, I looked at my business as I'm working during the week. Like imagine I'm at my career or my company, I'm working from 9 to 5 or 11 to 7 or 10 to 6, whatever that is. I don't take 2 or 3 hours in the middle of the day to go for a hike or to go to yoga. Now, sometimes I can if I want, but I typically never make dates with friends like that, because those are my most productive hours, and I want to hold to that and hold those boundaries for myself. So I started to up-level my Kula. I'm very, very clear about who I hang out with, who I have any kind of conversation with, because I know that's influencing my subconscious mind. And so I want to be around people that have a great relationship with money, that are thinking about leveraging their career. And it's not all about ambition or the financial bottom line. Of course, it's about vitality and joy and dharma and service. But all of these things play together, and I want to be around people who are excelling in all of those ways. Okay, last one now. I want to hear from you guys. Any questions that you have, any comments, whether you agree with me, whether you don't agree with me, I want to hear. So for those of you that are just joining, I have a free video training that's going on right now. We just dropped it today, and the link is right there for you. That is, by the way, if you're looking at the screen, it is case sensitive. And the link is also in the comments above. Okay, the fifth way to think and act like a boss and build your yoga business is to actually have a business plan, actually have a strategy. So one of the first things that we talk about in my Yoga Psyche Soul business module is knowing what your signature offering is. So you want to build your signature offering, and everything else that you do, this is back to the 80-20 rule, this is back to thinking like a CEO, everything else that you do funnels into this core signature offering. Now, this signature offering might be private with you. It might be, it's your highest ticket item. It might be training that you do once a year for a week, or it might be your retreat that you do every 6 months. It might be a larger online course that you're doing, or it might be your yoga teacher training that you're offering. But you want to start to think about what is your signature offering. Your signature offering is not just your weekly yoga classes, and it's not just, a weekend yoga retreat. Your signature offering is something that you build your brand from, you build your brand around, and you think about maybe eventually you have 2 or 3 what are called verticals in your business, 2 or 3 core signature offerings. But right now, let's just get one, right? And everything funnels into that. So I'm telling you, I didn't have this for the first 10 years of my career. I really only in the last 5 years started thinking about this, and it changed everything radically in my business. What it does is it helps you get crystal clear about your boundaries, about who you are, what you're showing up as, what your brand is, what you're representing, what you're embodying. And you want to prioritize your time and prioritize your projects. Like I said, I would just say yes to everything. And then I was spun out, and it wasn't really progressing because things weren't building on each other. When you know and you have a business plan and you have your signature offering, your core signature offering, everything funnels into that. And so you're seeding along the way in your group classes, in your weekend workshops, you're seeding, you're hinting, you're building the interest, you're funneling things into what is your core signature offering. Okay, this is what's going to thank you, Katie, you're so sweet. This is what's going to radically help you build a company and build a successful, viable, financially viable company. So think like a boss, think like a CEO, describe yourself as a CEO, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. Know the 80-20 rule and keep to that. 20% of your work is actually teaching the yoga. 80% of your work is building your business, building your team, knowing your priorities, knowing what's called your KPIs, your key indicators, right? So you want to know what your key performance indicators are in every aspect of your business. That's a whole nother thing we'll talk about later. Number 3, watch and emulate other industries. Number 4, up-level your kula. When you up-level your kula, you up-level your mindset. So really be careful about who is getting into your inner circle. Very diligent. And number 5, have a business plan. Know your core signature offering, build everything, funnel everything else into it so that you can actually leverage your business. Okay. So if you love this, please like it. If you know anyone else will be interested in it, please share this or tag people below who you think would be interested in this information. Jump over to the free live training. This is free video training. This is listed right there, bit.ly/heart hustle, and that's case sensitive. There's also a link above in the comments. And I would love to see you. The first video of this training just dropped. Again, we're talking about the Instagram effect on this training. We're talking about knowing the number 1 key ingredient to teaching life-changing yoga classes. So jump over to the free video training. Thank you all so much. Please share this and like this, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm going to be on all this week. I'm going to be on Facebook Live at least once a day, maybe twice a day, if we're lucky. All right. Love you all so much. Namaste.